Upon a time, in a faraway land named Durban, there was a creepy haunted school named Salina Intermedia. Many people in the community will complain about the loud shrieks and weird odor that will come from the three-story building.
At Salina, there was a mean old principal named Mr. Gumfish. Mr. Gumfish always looked grumpy. He looked like 1,000 bees had stung him.
One thing Mr. Grumpfish always did before going to bed was to blow the magical horn to wake up the dead. While Mr. Grumpfish slept, the dead would make their way to Salina to begin their hunting. Then the next morning, Mr. Grumpfish would go to Salina and see what the dead had done.
As he walked through the front doors of Salina Intermediate, he screamed with surprise. Mr. Grumpfish had saw a group of dead fishermen, zombies, and ghosts. They were having a ball.
The DJ was the infamous Michael Myers. The minute they saw Mr. Grumpfish, they all ran to hide from his Medusa powers because they didn't want to be turned into statues.
Mr. Grumpfish had a small problem. He forgot to get the key to turn on his powers. The key was with the assistant principal, Mr. Smiley.
Mr. Grumpfish sent a text message to Mr. Smiley instructing him to bring his key.
Meanwhile, Mr. Smiley had his own evil minions planning to overthrow Mr. Grumpfish. As soon as Mr. Smiley and his minions arrived at Salina, they approached Mr. Grumpfish face to face and ready to take action.
However, as soon as the minions took a whiff of Mr. Grumpfish, they all passed out, leaving Mr. Smiley standing on his own. In a panic, Mr. Smiley provided the minions with gas masks, and they woke up. Once they were awake, they had a battle with Mr. Grumpfish. It wasn't just an ordinary battle, it was a dance-off.
The DJ was playing Bad by Michael Jackson. Once Mr. Smiley heard the song, he said, "That's my jam." He began to break it down until Mr. Goldfish did his new move, the juggle wiggle.
While Mr. Grumpfish was wiggling to the jam, he slipped a disc in his spine. He instantly froze with pain. Mr. Smiley smiled bigger than ever before. He ordered his minions to remove Mr. Grumpfish immediately. The evil minions threw Mr. Grumpfish into a cage in Salina's creepy basement. When Mr. Grumpfish finally awoke, he saw many scared children in cages.
Mr. Smiley had a reputation for locking up the children who misbehaved. Terrified, Mr. Grumpfish knew he would be locked up forever until he spotted the key. The janitor was waving the shiny key from a distance.
The scruffy female janitor smirked and said, "If you want the key, complete the tasks of 3. The first task was to do the Arabic dabka.
The second tasks were to sing The Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus and All of Me by John Legend.
Mr. Goldfish agreed. He sang at such a high pitch that the windows shattered into smithereens. All of the minions collapsed in sheer terror at the sound of Wrecking Ball. All of a sudden, the sound of the footsteps came closer and closer. John Legend entered and said, "Hey, let me show you how it's done."
Mr. Grumpfish used his Medusa Medusa powers to free the minions, and all had a dance party. Mr. Smiley was so moved by the performance that he too decided to share his musical talent. He pointed to Mr. Grumpfish and said, "Hit it." He and the minions belted out their rendition of Frozen's Let It Go. So as it turned out, the third task was to get along despite their differences. All of them danced the night away to Buttock.
On their way home, they heard a soft crying coming from the janitor's closet. Mr. Grumpfish crept near the door, and to his astonishment, out came Mr. Grumpfish's minions, and they all left. It was a Minion Smiley Grumpfish dance extravaganza.
When the minions and the principals were dancing, the dead that were summoned by Grumpfish came back and wanted to dance too, but the minions wouldn't agree. All of a sudden, a riot began. Suddenly, Mr. Grumpfish took hold of Mr. Smiley's cape. With a smirk on Mr. Grumpfish's face, he yelled, "I'll take over this school."
The next day, everyone was back to normal, but Mr. Grumpfish transformed into a zombie. He ran around trying to eat Mr. Smiley. Mr. Smiley's minions declared war.
Katy Perry came and told Mr. Smiley and Mr. Grumpfish that they should be united because they are both wildcats. They all began to sing "Eye of the Tiger." Roar!
Finally, the school was united. They all came up with a plan to make sure the principal and vice principal always got along. Focus cards.